Hello and welcome to Week 7 of Tailgate Talk. Cali Oaks, Randy Whitehouse, and we're looking at the Class C matchups this week from Griffin Field, a former home of a Class C team, now the home of the Class B Spruce Mountain Phoenix. But even without the Livermore Falls and Jays of the world, Class C certainly very competitive, and a lot of big games this week that will clarify the playoff picture as we go along. We'll start with the Friday night matchup between Maranacook and Dirigo. Just so many heartbreaking losses this season, and they can't afford any more of those.
They've had heartbreaking losses and close wins. There's a team that could be 6-0 and a team that could be 1-5, and instead they're 3-3. They're in the middle of that playoff mix. They got to start winning some games, though, and this is a game they can circle on their calendar and say it's a chance not only for a win in terms of winning percentage, but a win over a quality opponent. They've been right there with Winslow, right there with Freeport, right there with Oak Hill. 2 back-to-back overtime losses, and now again they're at home under the lights, where things haven't gone their way again since they installed the lights this year. Maranacook's a team that's just kind of found its groove since that hiccup they had at Winslow. Of course, they've got Luke Emery in the backfield, but Caleb Castongue, I think, threw 3 or 4 touchdown passes last week, so they can get it done through the air as well. Dirigo is still trying to find that balance. They've had Brian Blackman to lean on all season long, with Ben Holmes back there distributing the ball a little bit. They had to throw the ball a little bit more last week to get in the game. They got behind in the first half and made a nice run. Just lost that game in bizarre fashion with a fumble into the end zone, a forward fumble that Winslow covered and then kicked the extra point, both accomplished by Mr. Hapworth, the freshman from Winslow. Dirigo, a team with a lot of juniors and seniors. I think a lot of us expected them to be on that upper end of Class C, and this is a chance to show again that they belong there with a win on Friday night.
Now, the Friday night matchup involves the Poland Knights, who are having a solid year, but aren't in the playoff hunt right now. It seems like, although with a win at Winthrop, perhaps they can get themselves back into it. It's a huge game for Winthrop too.
Yeah, they really let one slip away by going down to Old Orchard and laying an egg for all intents and purposes. I believe they got shut out, and that was coming off a win over Telstar where they were scoring points. Their offense had been in a groove. The Seagulls were a team, I think we mentioned last week, that they needed to exercise caution because Old Orchard Beach was certainly playing better. They held Freeport to a touchdown the week before. It's a must-win for Poland. I mean, Winthrop put themselves right back in the race. It was the first team that Winthrop had beaten that had actually won a game, and it's a legitimate win over Oak Hill, a win that they got despite having some kids still missing from the lineup. They're tough at home on Friday night against a team that's never had to go there before. I think Winthrop probably has the upper hand here, but again, if Poland should pull off the upset, that playoff race is in a tizzy. 2, 3, and 4 teams in that mix, right around that 8 or 9 line that's going to separate playoffs from no playoffs. So there's you can't overstate how huge a game this is.
I'm going to say right now that I think the rest of the league should be rooting for Poland in that game, because I would not want to face Winthrop in the first round. I saw them last week against Oak Hill, and that's a young team that just keeps getting better and better and better. And you're right, they're going to be dangerous if they make the playoffs. Go to the Saturday matchups, and a Southern Division matchup between Trape and Lisbon. Could be a pretty physical game out there at Thompson Field.
Yeah, and I think Trape wants it to be a physical game. I think they're the big, strong team in this mix, and Lisbon is the team that they overachieve. It's the same song we've been singing for years. They're not the bigger of the two teams. They're the smaller team in just about every game that they play in terms of size, but they find a way to get it done. They have playmakers. They don't even have that one guy to lean on in the backfield. They just continue to find different ways to get different guys in the offense and score points. They did that last year at Trape. They're certainly happy to be at home, I think. Trape has won some big road games. They beat Winslow a couple weeks ago convincingly. So Trape's not afraid of going on the road, and they're used to playing on Saturdays, so neither of those things will be a factor. I think Lisbon's just got to find a way to neutralize that size, whether it's getting Ryan Reardon out running option plays and using the perimeter that way. They're going to have to maybe open the playbook a little bit, because I don't think you're going to run up the middle against Trape.
The other intriguing Saturday matchup involves Oak Hill traveling to Winslow, And an old Class B matchup brings back memories for me. I don't think I've ever heard more obscenities on a sideline than when those two matched up in the past. There could be a few this week because this is going to be a huge game, especially for Oak Hill. And Winslow, you know, they've struggled a little bit the last couple weeks. Could they be vulnerable this week to what's going to be a desperate Oak Hill team?
Yeah, I think desperation in the past couple of years has made Oak Hill tougher at this point in the year. They always seem to, I believe last year they came up here and beat Livermore Falls in a game where they were in a similar situation. They were not the favorite going into that game. They desperately needed a win. They went out and got it. And Winslow is a place that, as you said, tough, hostile. It's not a fun place to go on a Saturday afternoon.
Strange things happen.
Strange things happen. We'll leave it at that. I used to like this game when Bruce Nicholas was Oak Hill's coach because somehow he and Mike Savitsky are family. I think it's an in-law situation. So there used to be a lot going on there as well. It's a must-win for Oak Hill. I mean, I think, see, I'm of the belief that 3-5, they still might be okay just because they played Yarmouth and Lisbon early in the year, and that's going to give them a ton of Crabtree points. But they don't want to leave anything to chance. After this game, they've got Maranacook next week. You know, do you want to, and even if you can get into the playoffs at 3-5, do you want to go in at 3-5? No. I think Oak Hill's got to treat this game like it is a postseason game.
It's going to be a playoff-like atmosphere at a lot of the football fields this week, so we encourage you to go out and check out the action. For Cali Oaks, Randy Whitehouse, we'll see you next week on Tailgate Talk.